Welcome back to another episode of Trash Talk Podcast. You may have already noticed we are doing this a little bit differently today because this is sort of an emergency podcast. You may have already heard about the news of Article 13 being passed by the European Parliament and the consequences that will herald for the internet, for YouTube, Google, for creators like us, and for viewers like you and us too, because we also are viewers on this platform. And this is what we're kind of putting this podcast first. We have another one recorded for next week already, but this one is more important. And we're going to discuss the whole situation in greater detail. We have released a short informational video a couple of days ago that you can go back and watch. And please go back, watch that video, and share it with everyone. You can upload it everywhere. We don't make any claims to it. You can go take it and let everyone hear the message, and please keep sharing the message. Make your own videos and stand up for this cause, because this really is that important. And that's what we're going to talk about for the majority of this podcast. There's not going to be a halftime show. We will have facts and songs just to lighten the mood a little bit in the end. But this is a matter of absolute importance, and this takes priority over everything else that we do. And since we do have the somewhat small but relevant audience that we are so lucky to have accumulated, we are responsible for sharing that message. Now, not all of you might be European. Some of you might be from America and other places. This matter affects the entire world. This is not a regionally contained matter. Content filters, YouTube censorship will affect viewers around the globe in a more drastic way than anyone can ever imagine. And people might have told you that this is bad. It is worse. It is worse than whatever you've heard. And I guess we're going to explain the matter. JJ is here too, by the way. I haven't mentioned it yet.
I didn't want to interrupt you.
That's fine. So again, that speech that we uploaded, go back. It's called "This is what YouTube will look like with Article 13 or whatever." Go back and share that around. So March 26th, despite all the efforts that the online community made, and you've probably seen it around the last couple of months, the hashtag Save the Internet and all the petitions, all the pop-ups. And first of all, I'm proud of the community generally, because a lot of people have reacted to that stuff. We had, I believe, 5 million signatures in a petition that has been blatantly ignored. We've had hundreds of thousands of people, specifically in Germany, on the streets protesting, that have been ignored and belittled, and frankly just pulled into ridiculous circumstances. We've been called paid by Google to demonstrate against this unjust article. So the politicians responsible for this have no business of having a job in politics. It should be clear to everyone who understands anything about this matter. And why is this important? Because the EU elections are going down in May. 23rd to 26th of May, depending on what country you do live in. And this is the most important election that you will take part in your life, especially if you're of the younger generation, maybe a first-time voter. This is the most important cross that you could ever set on a piece of paper. And it's really, really important for you to understand that there is lists online, breakdowns. You can see exactly what party and what member of what party of your country voted for this atrocity. And it's your job, directly and indirectly, by spreading awareness, to make sure that that person or those people will never have a career in politics ever again, or dealing with people for that matter. Most important thing you've ever done. So, directly, what does this mean? It's kind of been popularized as the meme ban, right? That's what has been going around on Reddit. And the essence of the matter is that platforms will be held liable to all the content that's uploaded to it that's copyrighted. So here's a quick breakdown at the YouTube example, how it's been so far. So far, if you uploaded copyrighted content to YouTube, you're responsible for that. YouTube is not legally liable to that. And so if you did that, the copyright holder could sue you for all the marbles. They're not going to do that, or they didn't do that, because simply put, the individual creator doesn't have that type of money. It doesn't pay off. They could then, and they usually would, request either a video to be completely taken down, or it cannot be monetized by the uploader, and it can be monetized by the copyright holder through YouTube's automatic detection system, or for example music videos, which has happened to a couple of videos that we uploaded as well. And that's fine. Alright? That's okay. It's inconvenient, but it's fine. And that has changed. And what now is going to be the directive that the European Parliament set forward is that YouTube itself and all the other platforms, as Google, Reddit, Facebook, Twitter, every social media, every link sharing site, every social network is now held liable to the content that is posted on their servers. Which means that if someone were to post a music video, or if we were I'm going with our example, we're posting a Hearthstone gameplay, because that's a lot of what we do. And usually it will be our responsibility to, first of all, make sure that what we do falls in the condition of fair use by providing commentary and sufficiently qualifying as parody or educational purpose. Because we're using copyrighted content. We're using Blizzard's video game. We're showing off that video game. And now that that's the case, Blizzard could go ahead and sue YouTube for potentially 6-7 figures and more because of copyright violation.
Yeah, exactly. And that is why YouTube will then not let us upload Hearthstone content, potentially.
Correct.
Because they don't want to be sued. And the problem in this case is that YouTube will have to potentially overreact to make sure that there's definitely nothing that they can be sued over, because it's just too dangerous to allow it. So that is when the content will be blocked. So that's where European viewers will maybe not even be able to upload at all, but likely they'll just they'll have a filter that will try to detect anything that could be copyrighted and just remove those videos, just block the upload. The
worst case scenario, and most likely theorized, is, like you just said, the full content filter, which could affect the entire world if that's not regionally adjusted. And that means that YouTube will essentially, this is the legal aspect of it, the copyright holder will have to provide a blacklist, a fingerprint to the publisher, like YouTube in this case, or the hosting platform, saying, this example of this copyrighted content, say it's a music video, a full song. If any of that song, like any significant, like 3 seconds of that song, excerpt of that song, appears in a YouTube video, that needs to be programmed to be recognized and blocked by your algorithm. And if that's the case for all songs, and it will be, and for all video games, there will be, and for all copyrighted material, which, by the way, is everything. Damn near. Everything except for a guy talking to a microphone sitting in front of a camera, or with a black screen. Everything is copyrighted to some degree.
Yeah, exactly. And the problem is, even if it is regionally locked and it's only going to block it for European viewers and European uploaders, that still sets a precedent for the rest of the world. And even if in the best case scenario it really just affects Europe, nothing else, that still means that European content creators that you watch will not be able to upload the type of content that they make.
Yeah.
So that still impacts everyone, even if you're not living in Europe, even if you're not watching a lot of European content, it's still gonna affect you to a smaller degree at first, and then because of the precedent sets into a larger degree later on.
That is correct. And it's become rather obvious that the people sitting in Parliament and having voted on this tragedy have, with all due respect, of which I have none, by the way, no idea of what they're doing. They have, because, and I'm not trying to sound like some stereotypical SJW whatsoever. Every last one of those guys is 50 plus years old and has not the first idea about how the internet works and what what they did is actually going to do.
I mean,
all that they did was receive money from big corporations, big copyright holding monopolies that have one interest in mind, which is keep that monopoly and expel their profits. And that's what they voted.
The problem is that those are the people that, when the internet really became a thing, they were already like an established person in their life. They weren't affected by the internet. They don't use it that much. They don't know how it will affect it. And also, I think if it isn't evident enough that they don't really know enough about the internet to be ruling over what can and cannot be done, not directly related, but I like bringing it up, the fact that Merkel once said the whole thing about like how the internet is a new land,
it's new territory to everyone, and
and
completely out of touch with the population.
Yeah, that completely just showed how she, for example, and I mean she has one of the highest positions of power in Germany, not the highest, but still, how those people in those positions will not have a clue about what's going on. So
I've seen
that's problematic.
I've seen a conversation on Twitter, or an excerpt of a conversation on Twitter, of someone who got the chance to have a short interview with one of the members of Parliament, of the European Parliament, and they basically asked them a question of how they envision this. How is it going to look like when YouTube and Google have to implement algorithms that would filter stuff so harshly and essentially leads to massive censorship across the entire internet? Like a very well worded question. And the answer that he received from that member of Parliament was, what is an algorithm? That's what the answer was. And that, I believe, is exactly that should tell you what's happening there, who's making the decisions there. This is like a 4-year-old deciding on what's going to happen with a patient who's about to have surgery, that have no information, no knowledge about the subject that they're dealing with. And because of that, they have moved to ruin and destroy the internet as we know it. And if this is implemented in the way and extend as visualized, this will revolutionize, in the worst possible sense, the way that we all live and the way that we all exist. The internet has, specifically for our generation, 30 years and younger, been one of the most central parts of life, the last bastion of true freedom for humanity. That's what its idea was, and that's what's been and should always remain. And politics right now are taking radical steps to destroy that vision. And this is the moment where everyone, I don't care who you are, what content you make, whether you're from the political left or right or somewhere in between, whether you're from Europe or you're from Easter Island, whether you're black or white or fucking purple with polka dots, you need to, we all need to band together and make a stand for this, because this is what unites us, right? So that's what we wanted to talk about today. And I guess we can go through some more legal jargon if we wanted to. Generally, the main problem for Europeans specifically is going to be if a content filter is actually, or generally the whole population, if a content filter is implied or instated, we are going to have a global problem.
So also the problem is that not only does it filter out the copyright content, which in of itself is not necessarily a problematic thing, but there's also fair use, as you mentioned, which is already a bit of a weird thing because it doesn't really exist in a lot of European countries as law, but that is also completely blocked there. And kind of the worst possible case, although definitely not the intended use of this, is that someone could theoretically submit certain things to block that they don't even have the rights for. Of course, that would then at some point be detected, but this, once those filters are in place, they can be used for censorship as well.
Yes.
Not just for
And
blocking copyrighted content.
That is what it is going to be used for. Specifically that. This essentially divides the level of power on the most sacred spot of civil liberty. The one point, the one area where people, just the regular populace, will have the opportunity to have a voice, and completely distorts it. This gives more power to those that already have way too much, which is the big copyright holders, corporations. Like corporations like Sony, for example, have of course been vouching for this, which is understandable from their perspective because they're strengthening their monopolies and their power, and the people, the internet user, the regular consumer, like you and myself, and every YouTuber, every blogger, every influencer, social media personality, every independent journalist, everyone interested in providing news, entertainment, or a new view on things is being silenced by this. There's no better way, is being silenced. No better way of saying it. That's exactly what's happening. Alternate media, independent media will die because they simply do not have the means to obtain the licenses necessary to use anything, any coverage whatsoever. They will not be able to use any quotations because they can't afford it. They won't be able to use materials, photographs, videos from any other news network because they can't afford it. This is centralization of media. And centralized media is controllable. And that's the interest of the government at this point.
And that then once again goes to against a lot of the basic principles of democracy.
Yep.
And also freedom, of course. Freedom is a basic concept
yes.
of democracy. And also, the problem is that if you look at your subscription box on YouTube right now.
Mm-hmm.
Like open a new tab or something. I think on mobile you can keep the video in a small window. Look at the videos in there. If I do it for myself right now, there'll be movie reviews, gameplay videos.
Yep.
All of that stuff contains some degree of copyrighted content in fair use,
Mm-hmm.
but that stuff will not be available in Europe anymore.
Yes.
No one who lives in Europe will be able to upload it, and no one who lives in Europe will be able to watch it.
And if content filters are applied over the entire platform, that's going to be the case for the entire world.
Yeah. And
which essentially would kill YouTube because 99.999% of all content on YouTube has copyrighted material in it.
Yeah, if
under fair use.
If gameplay and movies are not your thing, like documentaries,
sports,
yeah,
cars,
all
everything.
of that stuff uses footage from elsewhere usually, and unless that is footage that has specifically been released for that purpose, like a stock footage site, you cannot use it.
No.
And there's only so much you can do with stock footage because it's not specific.
Yep. Political commentary, coverage of news events, commentary on coverage of news events. One of the most fundamental pillars of freedom of speech and one of the most important principles of democracy that keeps us from living under absolute tyranny is being killed, is being reverted. We have to realize I think we really have to realize how fundamental this is. This is not any other thing. This is not even like net neutrality. Ajit Pai, the guy who was like hated by everyone, that guy has nothing on this. That whole network, that's nothing. Doesn't even compare. This is a different level. This is centralized media control. This is and I might get backfire for saying this. I might get heat for this, but this is the exact same measure that the Nazi regime took which is the full control over the media.
Yeah.
The deletion, it's not a ban, but it really is a ban, right? It's indirectly a ban of alternative media.
That's what news. Every totalitarian government has done, basically.
Yeah.
As long as media is around, but in some form, that has always been the case. Yeah. And also, an interesting point that you brought up earlier, because we did already discuss this to a degree before we started this recording, because it's a very important topic to us. You mentioned educational use of of information, like for colleges.
Lectures. You have a great YouTube channel for MIT that provide incredible lectures. I've been listening to them in all sorts of topics for free, through sponsorship, through donations, for an entire world to listen to, and so many other people. Gone.
Yeah, because if they quote like a scientific paper and the person who wrote the paper doesn't want it to be quoted, they can't.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not exactly sure how the copyright thing for scientific papers in particular is, but there is gonna be some kind of copyrighted picture or quote in there that you cannot use anymore.
And here's
so
also
that means they cannot make it publicly accessible. They might be able to still use it within the lecture itself, but the lecture cannot be recorded and uploaded. The slides cannot be uploaded. You can't even really upload a Cliff Notes version unless you are very particular about what you leave out.
So here's just for comprehension, a quick list of things that you can no longer do once this is in effect. Post the link to a news article or any online magazine on Facebook. Share it with your friends to refer to anything, to have a discussion. Send your buddy John a meme over WhatsApp. Not gonna happen. Post to Reddit. Basically anything. Not gonna happen. Upload to YouTube. Not gonna happen. Use Google. Like worst case scenario, not gonna happen.
Yeah, and if it is happening, then the search results are gonna be far limited from what we had. Very noteworthy. Wikipedia. Impossible.
Wikipedia is dead. Everything on Wikipedia sits on other sources.
Yeah.
Wikipedia, the site Wikipedia is at its end.
Yeah, it's going to be completely disabled in Europe.
Yeah.
There's no way they can make a Europe clean version of Wikipedia.
You can't have Wikipedia without copyrighted material.
Yeah, because
it's all outside sources. That's the very essence of Wikipedia.
Yeah, you can't do a Wikipedia article without citations.
And Wikipedia is the pinnacle of what makes the internet great, and what is now being destroyed by the European Parliament.
And of course, that doesn't just apply to the specific websites we named. It also applies to every website that operates like or similarly to those websites.
Yeah.
It's not just going to affect YouTube. It's going to affect every video sharing site. It's not going to affect Wikipedia. It's going to affect every wiki site. It's
not Facebook, genre. But every social media.
Yeah. So, if you think about how you use the internet, I feel like it comes to a point where you realize that very little of what you actually do on the internet is gonna stay by that standard.
Nothing is gonna stay, essentially.
You can probably still access news sites because those are big corporations. Yeah. They can make that happen. You can still access a lot of the paid services like for watching TV shows or something like Netflix because they operate on licenses.
Yes.
But that one YouTube channel that uploads funny clips with voiceover... No. Like honest trailers, not gonna happen.
And all the other YouTube channels too.
Yeah, no, but I'm trying to make up concrete examples because there is always gonna be something that would be able to get through the filter, but is it really gonna be interesting?
Sports highlights.
Yeah, again, like something like honest trailers. Those guys are literally just using a few clips that would also be in a regular movie trailer, and they commentate over them.
Clearly under fair use.
Yeah, not gonna happen.
Not gonna happen. Done. Fair use is dead. Fair use, if it wasn't dead enough, is dead now. Completely. It's over. And using Wikipedia to look anything up? No. Educate yourself on the internet? No. And the problem that obviously comes with what you just stated with you can still look up news is rather evident. You can only look at news that they want you exactly the news that they want you to see.
Yeah.
No criticism of such, no commentary about such.
The big news corporations. I'm not talking about your favorite news YouTuber because guess what? They use some kind of references and footage to explain what they're doing.
Talking about government-funded TV channels, news networks. Yep.
You're gonna be able to read the big newspapers and the big news channels, like the TV channels, not YouTube channels. That's about it.
Yeah, those are going to operate under complete impunity.
We've already seen a lot of cases where on YouTube as a platform, for example, big companies get preferential treatment. Mm-hmm. Their videos will be suggested even if they don't meet a lot of the view criteria that you would expect them to be met. I've actually recently heard that Apple once had a bug shown on their iPhone in one of their commercials. They replaced the video. They kept the view count in the comment section. They replaced the video. Oh. That is something that you cannot do as a YouTuber. But Apple as a corporation, they can do it.
They can do it.
And
that's all before, by the way.
That is the reality right now. That specific case probably happened a few years ago. And that's already kind of scary. But that is nothing compared to what's gonna happen once, within the next 2 years, the European countries start passing their individual laws that affect the filter. And don't think that just because some countries are going to be a bit more relaxed with those laws than others, that that's going to help. No. Because the websites will use whichever one is the strictest and apply that at the very least all throughout Europe, because it's just economically not viable to apply for every single small European country. I mean, Europe as a whole is a lot smaller than, say, the United States. You cannot just go like, oh yeah, this one European country has this filter, thereby we're implementing it that way. There's going to be one filter. One filter. If you're lucky, it's going to be only in the EU. If the website is smaller, it's probably going to be on the entire website. Yep. Because that's easier to manage. So, this is not a thing that only affects those that happen to live in the countries that have the worst version of the laws passed. The worst version of the law is going to be the one that effectively affects everyone. Correct.
And let's be very, very clear. We know that politics is deceiving us. We know that big corporations are deceiving us. We know that we are being tricked. We know barely anything about what's actually going on. With this censorship instated, 1984 is reality. It is now reality. If you've read that book is now the universe we live in. It's here. And we have a couple more attempts to change that once and for all. Or we will live in it forever.
I mean, we're already seeing an example that I like to use is the TV show Black Mirror. That's an anthology show that shows like the darker implications of technology. And the scary thing is we're starting to see things that were in that show as like worst case applications for technology. We're starting to see those being implemented. Yep. So that should tell you how bad it is. Like that was what a few years ago was considered like, oh, what if technology went wrong, and all of a sudden that's the reality we live in.
Yep. So the internet is the most important thing, the most important individual thing to civil liberty in the 21st century, and will be in the future. And that internet has now been declared war on by politicians of the European Union. And that means that de facto war has been declared on you as a citizen of the European Union, and even not as a citizen of the European Union.
Once
you can feel attacked by this.
Once the corporations see that they can get through with this, and I mean, clearly they can.
Will. They can and they will. Because
that means that they'll now try, because most of those corporations that want this law are international, or at the very least their products are international. They will now try it in other countries or other.
Yes, this will not stay with Europe. This is coming for America. This is coming for America.
I think that North America, like the USA and Canada, are probably next, and then you're gonna see Australia. You might not see it as soon in like Africa and Asia,
but that's because of the infrastructure not even supporting yet.
And in Asia in particular, it's already not that hard to implement because they already have a lot of
those
control over their internet.
It's also noteworthy that the censorship that will be instated in Europe, the Western world, the free world, is stricter than that in China. And China is kind of always the example of internet censorship. There's no freedom of press, we say. Europe is worse now. It's worse than that.
Well, it is once the actual individual laws are instated.
Yes.
Right now,
but we're on that way now.
Yeah, no, but
and if we don't take to the streets now, as in like now, it will be, and we can't do anything about it.
The problem is, we would say stop this before it's too late, but in one part, it almost seems like it almost is.
Yes.
Because article has been passed.
It has been passed.
Now, with elections coming up, we're kind of lucky because we might get people into power that will revert it.
Chance to make an impact. Talk to everyone who doesn't know about this. Your parents, your grandparents. Because I guarantee you, if you don't, you're going to walk in there 5 people and you know what's up. And those other 4 people are going to vote for the same party that did the last 30 years. The party that has just stripped them of their fundamental right to freedom of speech. And they are none the wiser. Talk to everyone.
The reason why this has passed is because at this point, the quote-unquote internet generation is still in a minority.
Yep.
So we personally, as a generation, alone, without support, don't have the swing to pull this. Far less are we in positions of power. Now, every time there's an election, there's going to be more of us and less of the older generation. Yeah. And over time, we should be able to swing this back.
That's a slow process.
But if we're waiting for people growing up with the internet to be the majority,
that's going to take.
But then it's going to be too late.
That's going to take a long time, right? That's going to be a hell of a long time.
You have to make it clear to everyone why this is important, how this is important. We are not the most educated people to talk about this, but
we do know stuff. We do know something.
I'm not saying we don't know anything, but I'm saying there's people out there who can tell you way more about what's happening, and
you should seek those out. Yeah. By the way.
So we're gonna put some sources in the description for things you can link people, things you can read for yourself that are gonna tell you more about this. Yeah. Because at the end of the day, as much as this is gonna be probably like a 1-hour video, we are not going to touch on every single argument here.
No, we can't, because it's way too complicated. But the cliff notes, and the most important thing is the message we need to get across to you. I don't care if only 10 people would ever listen to this podcast, this episode, have maybe watched the other video. That's something that we could do with the audience that we have, and that is the most that's the most important thing we'll ever have done on YouTube, potentially in our lives, and potentially ever will do. Because this right now, we are in the midst of potentially the most important revolution in human history.
Yeah, this is a turning point.
Yeah, if this goes the wrong way, it is over. It is democracy, freedom is over and done with for good. But if this goes the right way, and justice ends out on top, that's a turning point. That's this. If you never protested in your life, if you will never protest in your life, if you've never shared anything in your life, if you've never panicked about a political decision in your life, you've gone like, whatever. There's always something, you can't really do anything. This is the moment right now that you will absolutely have to do it. This one time to make more of an impact than you ever will potentially for the rest of your life, because this is a turning point in human history. Yeah. This is all the marbles.
And once again, this is, while this primarily right now is about Article 13, it's even more so about the precedent that it sets. Yeah. Because when this goes through and no one stops it, I mean, it actually gets enacted, then they can do whatever they want. They know that. The corporations know that if they have that kind of pull, they can do anything.
If the people accept this and live with this, without cities burning, without streets in mayhem.
By the way, we're not suggesting for you to set things on fire.
No, do not go vandalize. I should say this. Remain peaceful in your protest. All right?
Because otherwise you'll be an extremist, and those are generally not heard.
Correct. Be the voice of reason, because the other side will not be. They have refused to be. We've known that for a while. Now, I'm not saying back down. Resist and stay firm in your resistance, but don't go around shooting people. But whatever you have to do it. Go out in the streets. Protest. March on big cities. Berlin, Paris, Brussels. Write letters to your members of parliament, to your politicians. Talk in your community. If you're in school, in college, in the workplace, talk to people. Say you're a 16-year-old student. You're not allowed to vote, but you're concerned, obviously, because you know what's going on. Go to teachers. Go to your principals, man. Every school has those teachers that know what's up. The younger guys. The tech guys. Organize protest events. Take action. Yeah. If you can organize a protest event in your school, you will be a hero for the rest of your life. And I'm not saying that because I'm bullshitting, because that's a fact. Right? That is a fact. You are resisting oppression, and you're doing more to do that than 99% of the population that is being oppressed and will be terribly oppressed.
Yeah, as you just said, like, if this video reaches 10 people, it has done something. Obviously, we want it to reach more, but we're trying our best. If you go in your school and you're talking in front of a class, you're gonna reach usually like 30 or so people.
Yeah.
At least. And that is already more people. And if like a fraction of those is inspired to do the same, then that grows exponentially.
Yes.
So if you can spread this message to, say, 30 to 100 people, and like 5 or 6 of those decide to do the same, we're gonna reach a large audience. And this is something that needs to be decided by the masses. Yes. We cannot do this alone. Everyone has to play their part, and we have to get the European Parliament to be against the article and hopefully abolish it before countries have to implement it.
They need to know that if you are in favor of this article, you will not have a job. You will not have a job, and you will not have a reputation as a credible human being. Make presentations. Ask for in school. Do extra work. Design posters. Do public work. Distribute posters. Distribute leaflets, man. Go out in the streets and approach people. That's the very essence of activism, and that is the most important thing to do activism for. This is your life. By saving the internet, by doing this, you're saving the life. You're saving the world. That's not an exaggeration. You are saving the world by doing this.
Yeah, and even if your country was one that voted against this, you're still affected by it because you still have to implement the laws. And you might think, okay, then my vote doesn't matter that much. But make sure that those people that voted against them stay in the parliament.
Correct.
Everyone needs to do their part. Again, for Europeans, that is voting, contacting members of parliament. For people outside of Europe, it's mostly raising awareness, making sure that it doesn't happen to them, making sure that everyone knows that it will happen to them next.
This affects you personally. This will affect you in a way that that has forever been unforeseeable to you, that you would never expect. And when it hits you, when you wake up that day and Google and the internet is gone, it's too late for you. But it will affect you. And you know what? It is now time to stop with the status quo. Oh, it doesn't affect me. Oh, I'm not interested in that politics stuff. This is your freedom. This is everything that you have. What little the state, the sovereign power still gives to you, this is at stake right now. It's time to stop thinking about I'm not involved. It's time to be angry. It's time to be angry and let people know. Write letters. Talk. Spread the word everywhere you go. This is the most important time in human history. Right now. Because the internet is all we have.
The problem is that this is one of those points that if this goes wrong, people will look back on it and say, oh, we can see how within those months this went wrong. But the problem is, when those moments happen, while they happen, people don't see them.
There is no other chance to take action. It's now.
Because you have to realize that just because this moment might not seem important right now, it is.
Yes.
And it will be seen as important in retrospect, especially if this goes wrong.
Correct.
Which, of course, we don't want for obvious reasons.
Yeah.
So make sure that it goes right. Maybe it will be forgotten if it goes right. But that is what we're working for.
In for people like me and a lot of people I know and a lot of our generation, if this goes right, that will be celebrated as the greatest political victory that we've ever experienced in our lives.
I think this event is going to be remembered more if it goes wrong, but that's because of how bad it is.
This is the biggest...
Like, this will go down in history books.
Yeah, this is the biggest revolution that Europe has experienced since the fall of the Berlin Wall. And I completely stand behind that. And, we've done a lot of the talking.
That has its pros and cons, too.
Yes. What can I do? What can you do right now? 16-year-old Johnny, 23-year-old Billy, 37-year-old Gabriel from Northern Ireland. What can I do right now? First of all, information is key. That's what the internet is about, and that's what's going to get us out of this pickle, is information. You know what's going on. You found this, you watched this video, respect. You're woke. Hate to use the word, but you're woke. You know what's up, and you're ready to take action.
If you listen to it this far, that already means that you're interested.
Correct. Reddit, Facebook, Twitter, YouTube. As long as the information is there, make use of them. Know what this is about. Know what's at stake here. Use the hashtag Fight13. Use the hashtag Save Your Internet everywhere. You have people like Julia Reda, a German politician for the so-called Pirate Party, who is an avid opponent of this article and one of the greatest freedom fighters that our generation has, with all honor I can give. Follow her on Twitter. Look up demonstrations. It's organized on Twitter. Article 13 demonstrations, Article 13 protests, those are hashtags. Spread it around in your social circle, right? Because a lot of people are, maybe like you still are, like you were, like other people were, politics doesn't bother me. I'm staying out of this. And you're gonna have to tell them exactly what we are telling you, what the actual truth is. And tell them with no holds barred too. Tell them the truth and spread the word. In school, do projects. Ask teachers if you can give a quick lecture, a presentation. Talk to your class, maybe in front of your entire school. Make it extracurriculars to stand up for that social cause, because it's the most important cause you can ever stand up for. Colleges, form groupings, conduct protests all over the world. America, Europe, Australia, and the Sandwich Islands. Literally everywhere you can, because it's coming for you. It's your fundamental rights at stake, and that's what you need to do. So, inform yourself and raise the flag of Fight 13 and of Save Your Internet. And TrashcanTV will, of course, obviously always support that cause. JJ and myself are avid activists in Germany. We're doing what we can, and everyone needs to do the best that they can. And the more that we do that, the more people will do it, and the more people will be aware of them being disenfranchised systematically by the politicians that they have trusted with their vote. And I believe we can ramble on for this for a while. It's been almost 45 minutes. I think we're going to stop it here.
Yeah. This is not about us going in circles. This is about you getting the information. Now that you have the core of it, make your own research. So, because that's what this is all about. The information being available to you. Because if this passes, it passed. I mean, if this gets implemented, information might not be available to you anymore.
So, this is all for us. It's now your job. Billy from Great Britain, Samantha from the United States, Johnny from Germany, balls in your court. Do your thing. Save your life, save your internet, and be a hero to be remembered forever and ever. And I mean this in the most sincere way I possibly can. Let's do our fact and our song of the week, and we're gonna be out of here. And you can start doing your activism. So, JJ.
Yeah, so as much as we wanted to make this podcast about that topic, we do still want to keep part of our format here.
The serious part is now over. for the next 4 minutes. After that, we're at war. But right now, the serious part is over, and here's our fact and our song. So, JJ.
Gotta keep our formula up.
Yeah.
So, first of all, my fact of the week is something that I actually told you before we started already because I thought it was interesting. Well, I've personally experienced this, but some people might not have. So, a big thing on our channel is Hearthstone.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
And I've been playing basically since the beginning. I don't think I've played in the beta, but I played in once the classic was out.
Correct.
And one big change that they made that, before I mentioned it, I think you weren't aware of, is that a lot of the passive buffs from Murlocs used to affect all Murlocs, not just your friendly ones.
But now they do, like War Leader, Oracle?
Yeah. Murloc War Leader. All Murlocs have +2/+1. Oh yeah, also, yeah, that too. Mm-hmm. War Leader used to give +1 health, but I think more people remember that.
Yes, that was I still lifted that.
Because I noticed when I'm on like Reddit or r/Hearthstone or something, you notice when people started playing, like they mention it. Yes. And a lot of people started playing at some later point in the life cycle of the game.
Yes. So, here's my fact of the week, and this is a little bit of a mind-blow fact concerning geography. You might have heard of South America?
Yes.
Well, South America might as well be called East America. Because not only is it south of North America, it's also damn near completely east. Jacksonville in Florida is further west than all of continental South America.
Okay.
That is a fact. If you drew a straight line up from the easternmost part of South America and Brazil, straight up through the Atlantic, that line at the right height would be closer to Europe than America.
Okay.
Be closer to Portugal than United States. So South America is also East America.
I mean, the closeness to Portugal makes sense considering that's where a lot of the people came from that colonized.
If you don't believe it, go check on the map. Pick out Jacksonville and draw a line down. It's all east. And I think this is a complete mind-blow fact. I think a lot of people don't realize this, but that's...
You always think of it as just like straight under.
Yeah, exactly. It's
on a map, like,
South America.
Of course, it's not literally.
Yeah.
But, you know.
But yeah, that's the case. So that's interesting. So, thank you for watching. The most important...
We wanted to do songs too.
Oh, we do songs too. We've almost forgot.
That's the problem. Right. We smushed those two segments together to not break the discussion.
Correct. Okay, let's do songs then. What's your song?
My song of the week is one by a band that I had another song of, but I somewhat recently discovered this one, and I think it's the best of the band that I've heard, and it's Waterloo Sunset by The Kinks.
I've heard of The Kinks. I have not heard of that song. Put it in the music.
Yes, I will.
And I will have a listen. My song of the week is going to be Sweet Lorraine by Uriah Heep.
Yes.
Very strong music game Uriah Heep actually has. So far, it's only been 1 to 2 pretty good songs, but now they've doubled in quality, and we might have to talk music at some point in the future again. Because...
that is something we could consider for our 1-year anniversary podcast.
Right, yeah. 2 years.
Wait, 2 years. I was about to say something doesn't add up here.
Number 104. We already have a special occasion potentially planned for 100, and 104 be just as important. But the most important...
Spoilers, 100 is already planned.
Yes. Most important thing is what refer to minute 0 of this podcast up until the end. I'm not going to get into the whole thing again. Do your research, inform yourself, save your internet, save your freedom. This is the most important thing that ever happened in human history. JJ.
That's it?
That's it.